then welcome.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Thoughtcast.
We're two big titty thotties sitting in the fucking skate park.
We still outside, but we're not in the middle of the woods anymore.
So it's probably gonna be different fucking background noise. So since like the last episode, like so much fucking bullshit, just like
so much negative energy.
Like the fact that I've literally had like fucking at least a mental breakdown every single day since then. Like I've gone like 0 days without crying. Actually, I didn't cry today, which is a win for me.
Me too, actually. Today's the first day since the last time we've recorded this podcast.
Okay, so
the topics that we want to cover today are like spiritual awakenings, or like what you might feel during a spiritual awakening, or what that really entails. Also, we're gonna go over protection spells, and spell jars.
Me and Sofia both definitely feel like we're in the midst of a fucking spiritual awakening. Like every single day, like I feel like we're facing things, like just like unbalances like fucking coming at us. But I feel like, and even in like our fucking readings, I feel like we've been getting a lot of fucking like reverse like cups cards and stuff like that, because we're just facing like a unbalance in our fucking emotions.
We're emotional like growth, and I think the problems that we're facing now are problems we've always had. But in order to like reach your higher self, you have to confront your issues and like fully face them on in order to like fully become your higher self, right? Your fullest form. But of course, it's not easy. It's not easy to go through a spiritual awakening. 2 years since the purchasing of our deck. So
much shit has happened since then. We were high school seniors. We weren't facing like fucking real like adult like shit problems. Like fucking we were like every single day was just a fucking day for us to go to school and like fucking do that bullshit. And like I don't regret like spending that time with the cards, because I feel like it really got us acquainted with like how this cards like fucking work and like the routine of it. We've just like experienced so much more of the world, met so many new people, like had like, and basically like
we exited our bubble that we were in before, and even like in the last couple of months we've we started this podcast. We began like doing more like we started looking deeper into tarot, into what it means, and like what it like the Kabbalah, and like what it is behind the tarot, not just the cards themselves.
All we've done is just made ourselves even more aware of what we don't know.
Yeah, and that's what will begin your spiritual awakening. You will start noticing things that you didn't notice before. You're gonna start like feeling like so many not new emotions, but like you just start like realizing things, like you look around you and you're like, what am I even like doing?
Which is literally the Fool. Like the Fool is just, he's neither major nor minor. He's fucking in the middle of like the fucking major and minor. So like how in a regular 52 cards deck, like the Joker isn't even like a part of it, it's just like on the outskirts. That's because it's like associated with the Fool basically, because the Fool is technically not a fucking major arcana card.
It's the first.
This guy just like was washed up on the fucking shore, and he's like just waking up and now realizing, what am I doing here? Like besides everything else, like what is my place in the universe? And that's like what the Fool like comes to terms with and like grows from.
In the beginning of June, me and Helen both pulled the Fool card when we did like readings about like how the summer is gonna go, or like just general vibe checks. And at the time, we thought we knew what it meant, but like we didn't. You never really know what the cards mean until it like happens. And that's basically like what is happening.
And like all we've fucking done is like slowly realize, we are fucking fools basically, because there's so much disbalance going wrong in the world, and like just feeling all of the pain and sorrow of everyone else, but also trying to live your own fucking life and finding the balance between all of it. And right now we feel like the disbalance. The disbalance has like become like the forefront like most like thing to us, because we've just been feeling like I feel like the 9 of Swords, dude. Like, I keep fucking saying it. The 9 of Swords, like, the way it looks in Sofia's deck is literally my fucking constant mood, bro. Like,
I feel like the 5 of Cups.
Yeah. And the 5 of Cups, too.
Just sad. And it's like, I would say, like, me and Helen did have this type of disbalance last year, but it was in the opposite direction of what we were more focused on having fun and not focusing enough on, like, the universe and just, like, what everything means. We were just, like, blissfully ignorant.
Yeah. Yeah, so me and Sofia both decided that we all exist only in the astral plane now. We're gonna come back to college and see our friends, and we're gonna fucking be like, yeah, bro, I'm just too fucking woke right now. Like, I'm spiritually woke. Like, I'm sorry if I, like, seem, like, different now. It's just that I've gone through a lot of change.
My third eye has officially opened.
Guys, it's literally Cancer season, which also, like, makes sense because we've been pulling a lot of Cups cards, which are associated with, like, the water element, which is associated with emotions. So it, like, all makes sense the more you fucking think about it, and it's, like, crazy.
Yeah, and it's, like, life can't always be good all the time. And I feel like that's like, a thing you learn as you get older, that, like, you have to struggle to, like, sometimes in your life. Like, you will go through times where you feel like it's not worth it to, like, continue, but, like, living through that time will ultimately, like, be better for you in the future.
Yeah.
And that's the importance of becoming spiritually aware.
And it's more than just, like, you know, finding ways to be happy or, like, fucking finding ways. Like, it's everything. It's connecting with every person. It's connecting within yourself. It's, like, so esoteric, basically. It's just, like, which, like, sounds really lame and corny.
It sounds really pretentious, but...
Absolutely. If you, like, okay,
if you listen to us
realize.
talk and you're like, yeah, these bitches are so pretentious. We know.
We know.
We're aware of it.
Dude.
We could talk about spell jars. I'll just give a little rundown.
Yeah, Sofia did a couple spell jars.
I did 2 identical spell jars for me and Helen, and I'm not going to talk about what I put exactly in there because it's an important thing to never give out exactly what you're doing in your spells or if you're doing hexes, because witches can, they can, like, if they found out what I put into the spell jars, they could make, like, a curse or, like, kind of redirect energy. So it's a good idea just to keep your practices private. So I'll just give, like, a broad explanation. I did a protection spell jar. So usually in spell jars, you want to find a sigil and write it on a piece of paper and put it in the jar, and then do research into ingredients that will, like, that have the magical properties that you're looking for. So I looked for ingredients that symbolized cleansing, just like protection, banishing against negative energy, because those are the safest types of spells to do when you're still a baby witch. You shouldn't go into hexes or, like, love magic when you're not experienced. So
yeah, because sort of it's like a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword.
Because, like, you can put all this, like, energy and, like, make, like, shit happen, but, like, it will also appear in your fucking everyday life. And, like, even just, like becoming more spiritually aware will fucking manifest, like, fucking bullshit in your life. Like, it's, like, so much, like, there's so many forces in the universe that are constantly working to, like, balance out things.
Exactly. And the more spiritually aware you get, the more, like, challenges will get thrown at you, because it's like you're forced to look at the darkest and deepest parts of your soul, and that's a big part of the journey. And a lot of people will go their entire lives with just ignoring their darkest, deepest corners of their mind. And
that is a fucking valid way to live. Like, we're not invalidated to anyone.
It's a valid way to live, but I don't think I could live like that. And
exactly.
I've never been able to live like that.
Yeah,
so,
especially because, like, I just feel like I've always looked at my life like a fucking vessel for, like, how can I help other people?
Exactly.
How am I, like, working to, like, better the lives of, like, other people, like my family, my friends.
Yeah.
Like, and it's always a constant, like, thing that, like, it's just always there. Like, the feeling that, like, I should be doing better, I should be trying harder. And I feel like becoming more spiritually aware is, like, a path, like, that, like, would help me with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I'm, like, thirsty.
Me
like,
too.
I need a drink.
We should
water.
go to Dunkin'.
Yeah. I've heard. Skating is an exercise that literally requires all of the elements. You need the fucking fiery will to just, like, do things, and you need the fucking earth to fucking actually manifest, like, you actually landing these tricks. You need the fucking air sign to fucking, like, get over, like, the mind barrier of fucking just being on a board and, like, possibly risking it all. And you need the emotional stability to, like, withstand it if you fall. Oh my god!
The spell jar.
This is the greatest thing I've ever seen!
It's
Bro,
protection.
Sophia's spell jar is literally beautiful, bro. I'll probably show a picture of it because it's literally the best thing ever. Thank you so much, Queen.
That's a good. I
it's
literally
literally
manifested
red. Like,
good
I love
vibes.
that. Bruh, this is so good.
So, blue is actually like the color of protection. So when I made
Associated with water, associated with the cups. Which is why cups cards tend to be really blue. Dude, Sophia's like the most art student, non-art student.
I'm
person
an
ever.
art student soul, but like I can't draw. It's okay because graphic design is my passion.
Sophia, like, low-key, like, Sophia did the mushrooms for everyone who needs to know, and they were really fucking good. Like, fucking anyone who sees them, like, they're literally, the way that she used fucking gradients in all of it, I was literally gonna incorporate gradients, like, no matter what you were gonna fucking do, but then you actually did it with, like, the gradients in mind.
No, I'm like obsessed with gradients.
Bruh, I love gradients!
They're like the best part of Photoshop is the fact that you could do like a shit ton of gradients.
Wait, you did it in Photoshop?
I did in Illustrator.
Oh. I'm a slut for fucking Illustrator, bro. It's like the best art program.
I will.
It's
yeah,
so sophisticated,
I agree.
so easy to
Like
use.
Photoshop was like me being in hell, and then like when we moved on to
Photoshop
Illustrator,
is literally outdated. Like, if you use fucking Photoshop to do your art, like, literally get a fucking life.
to do something.
That's literally a lie, because like fucking a lot of
It's
people.
hard.
It's just hard,
to use
and it's
Photoshop.
fucking like there might be like better program. Like, if you're using Photoshop or painting, there's better, like, Corel Painter is better than Photoshop and painting. Like, just probably
but
like
Illustrator
literally
was literally like being like a breath of fresh air.
It's so easy. It's so easy.
Good.
Okay, so we're in the fucking parking lot of our favorite Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
It's our and it's raining, so we might get like the rain ASMR regardless. Guys, you see how the universe just like takes care of us.
The world amazes me, but
Andy Warhol. The world fascinates me.
Art is for the people.
Yeah, put it in the hands of the fucking people, bro. Like, let the fucking painting live in their hands, bro. Like,
Exactly. That's what I believe art should
pretentious art rant doesn't end.
I am so fucking sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wrap up with the spell jar thing, but it's like when you do a spell jar, make sure to create, like, I did a salt circle because it basically just like it creates a safe, protected environment for you to put all your ingredients and like accurately manifest. And like I would meditate a couple minutes before doing your spell jar and make sure to write everything out on a piece of paper before you start, because it can't just be like a willy-nilly thing. It takes like a bit of like research, and like you have to gather the ingredients and make sure like, and also I would also add a personal touch. Like, one of the things I used in my spell jar wasn't necessarily for protection, but it was something that is associated with Eros, my deity, the one I worship. And I thought like that was just
Sophia's
like my
a baby
little
witch, and she works with Eros as her deity. Can you explain like what exactly Eros is, like, as a god? Like, what is he the god of?
Eros is basically the god of love, but that is not his only thing. He basically in some Greek mythology, like, he is just birthed from ashes, like no parent. But I decided to go with like, there's also an interpretation that he's the son of Aphrodite and Ares, I think, the god of war. And
Aphrodite and Ares. Aphrodite, goddess of love and war.
And
so that's interesting. That's like a really interesting dynamic.
Eros is just like, for me, like a really like warming, like he's like a protective presence for me. Like, he's someone who like has a lot of wisdom and like a lot of knowledge, and I just like wish to learn from him. And like Eros is also known as Cupid, right? He brings people together, but it's like his like love life in Greek mythology is really messy. I can kind of like sense when people like each other, or like I like know what people will go well together. I live for people, and I think like that's why Eros might
Sophia
have called
definitely
out to me.
is the one that like is the glue. Like, she brings people together, and possibly like fucking they develop a relationship or a fucking just like fucking platonic friendship. Like, Sofia definitely does have that fucking energy about her, and I've, like, seen it happen. And she's done it with, like, me and, like, Steven, our other friend. Shout out to him if he's listening.
I highly doubt he's listening, but if you are king, thanks.
If you are king, leave a fucking comment, and if you don't, we'll know.
Like the video.
Fuck you, Steven.
I don't recommend deity work for baby witches. I didn't when I kind of felt a calling. Like, I felt a calling towards tarot and plants. And when I found out that people could work with deities, I for a month I did research on deities and who could be calling out to me, what certain signs mean, how to properly honor them. It's definitely not light work, and you shouldn't take advantage of your deity because it could have really negative consequences. So I never ask anything from Eros. I just ask for his guidance, and I hope to do the right thing with it.
So yeah, and also I think at some point Sofia said that Eros is associated with the Hierophant.
Yeah,
which is another association that she has with the Hierophant that she's constantly pulling. Constantly pulling. And I think at one point we literally asked for Eros if he was here in a fucking reading,
and we pulled the Hierophant card.
No, I think he was the back of the deck.
Oh, the back of the deck.
The reading was pretty accurate for the current state of affairs, but it was it was asking if he was watching or he was here, and he was right there.
He was
it was a strange experience. It was very interesting.
Eros is associated with mint, bows and arrows, hares. Aphrodite is associated with rabbits, so that's the distinction. As well as at first I thought Aphrodite might have been reaching out to me, but I figured out that it was Eros, just because of it's the subtlety between the signs.
You should shuffle it too. I shuffled the cards a little bit. We're currently shuffling Sofia's cards, and I feel combining our energies into the cards will
for the daily
the single card. Yeah, should be interesting.
I feel in the future we should have a crystal segment, where we explain what certain crystals do.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Okay, for my first deck, I don't want to buy it online. I literally want to make it, because I feel it would be interesting if the deck, my first tarot deck was one that I made. I feel it would give it extra me energy, and just so solidly make the energy of the cards just transferring something from my mind, my wishes, my aspirations, the fucking astral world. I have only fire and air signs in my fucking chart, so it just literally means I struggle with having constant aspirations, ideas, wills to do something, and constantly living in that, and that constant creativity, that constant passion, but bringing it to the earth or manifesting it is something that I find such difficulty with. Which is why I really love earth signs, because they fucking do that shit. Sofia's an earth sign, so she fucking
for me it's I struggle with ideas. I struggle with creating and but when I make a choice, I don't think about it. I just go and do it. That's when I start making the choice, or I will do physical, but I can never fully commit. That's my issue. I do the physical thing, but I never fully commit in my mind, and that's something I struggle with. I think I'm mostly I have a lot of different
she's a jack of all trades. She has all of the signs, all of the elements in her fucking chart. I'm so jealous. This bitch literally all I see in my chart is just a Gemini. Gemini's a big chunk at the top, and then it's Aquarius, Sagittarius, and it's everything else, and I'm literally wow, I was robbed, dude. Okay, literally even in my fucking minor arcana card, the card associated with my birthday is the 8 of Swords, which is called interference. But the card is basically telling you you can't just be constantly in the swords, in the mind, in fucking trying to fucking fix everything in your fucking head. You have to do something, Helen.
Yep.
Which is what I'm constantly struggling with. So I feel by having that kind of energy with the cards was actually instead of having it in my mind as an aspiration to make the tarot deck have it be real, it'll fucking help me, it'll probably give me the good luck with the fucking cards. It'll help ground me. And it's one of my biggest worries that everything I want and everything I want to become will always just be an aspiration, a far away fucking dream I have, because I constantly have that. It's the hardest thing for me to actually, like, act upon my fucking will.
Like, what in your wants?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I struggle with that, too. Because I'm also very in my head.
Yeah.
But, like, for me, it's, like, sometimes I'll be, like, doing something, and I'll be like, why am I even, like, doing this for? Like, am I just doing it just to do it? Like, what is the purpose? I struggle finding purpose. I feel like that's what Helen helps me with.
Which is why we're, like, literally yin and yang, bro. All this, like, is further proving, like, how me and Sofia are just constantly, like, evening each other out. Which is why we're, like, we're twin flames. We're
Exactly,
constantly helping each other
flames.
grow, like, fucking, the flames are associated with, like, spontaneousness, like, fucking, fire is just, like, constantly growing, like,
we constantly fuel each other just to be better.
yeah.
Some people have, like, really turbulent relationships with their twin flames. Like, say your twin flame is someone, like, who you're in a romantic relationship with. That will definitely cause, like, a lot of issues, in my opinion. So, let's do the card pull. Queen of Swords.
Bro, it literally makes sense because we're currently very in our minds, in our heads. So, like, that's where the swords comes from. The swords are very interesting.
Are they
to me.
air sign, right?
Yeah, swords are an air sign. So, fucking, I just love, like, the whole concept of the swords. Like, the mind is, like, the accumulation of fucking, like, water and fire, basically. Like, and that's where, like, air comes from. It's, like, you know, that kind of sounds, like, very weird, but you have to, like, just kind of meditate upon it and, like, think about, like, the energy of the fucking words that I'm, like, saying.
Yeah.
Like, the swords, like, can fucking be used to, like, you know, conquer, like, someone else. Like, they can be used for you to conquer, like, a certain problem. Like, the swords are, but, like, the swords have also the potential to be, like, they go both ways sometimes, and, like, you can fucking hurt someone, you can fucking, like,
hurt
you know,
yourself.
but you also hurt yourself and bring that energy upon yourself. And that's why I love, like, the whole, like, the swords are probably going to be, like, my favorite minor arcana card to do, because I just feel like I'll have so much fun, like, trying to express, like, how the swords are very, like, you know, like, constantly of the mind.
Yeah.
Like, and the mind is so, like, you know, like, strange, and, like, it can be, like, real, it can be, like, completely, like, in your head. Like, it's, like, so weird. But, like, it like, makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, my favorite minor arcana is the coins. Because I love them.
The coins cards are constantly good. The swords cards, like, after, like, the 6 of swords, basically, the swords get, like, shit. Like, literally, the 10 of swords is, like, the worst fucking card you can probably fucking pull. Because it's literally ruined.
Queen of Swords, is someone who, like, she represents someone who's seen it all, knows it all, and has suffered a lot. It's basically, like, her knowledge comes from her past suffering. Like, it's, like, great
elemental
wisdom.
association of the queen is water. So, like, the Queen of Swords is, like, sort of like the water of air, if you look at it in terms of just the elements. So it's, like, the emotional sign of the fucking, like, mind, basically.
Yeah. So, like, great wisdom that has come from, like, sorrowful past experiences.
Exactly.
But also, like, the power that comes from, like, living through the experiences.
Emotional experiences.
You gain, like, self-reliance, you gain discipline, and she can also represent, like, a harsh truth, or, like, a truth that you have to face.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of perfect that we pulled, like a card that is both associated with, like, water and swords, because, like, freaking...
And, like, I feel like earlier in the podcast we were talking about how, like, we're, like, learning new things, and, like, how it's, like, even though it's a really hard time for us, we are, like, learning from this hard time.
Yeah.
And that is what the Queen of Swords represents.
Yeah.
So.
Very, very good.
Very good. Very accurate.
Very good, very accurate, 10 out of 10. Let's look at the back of the deck, just for kicks. Like
the Magician.
The Magician. That's crazy. The Magician is, like, the first card.
Energy.
He's, like, he basically, like, knows his shit. Like, he's the opposite of, like, the fool. And he's, like, he basically inspires the fool to, like, go on his own fucking journey. Like, the fool fucking realizes his fucking place, like, what he wants to fucking be, when he sees the Magician, who, like, knows his, like, fucking world, basically. And so,
like, a new idea, taking appropriate action, self-confidence, freedom.
Yeah, and it's interesting that that's the back of the deck energy, because that's what we want to become. Like, it's another connotation with us being the fools wanting to be the magician. Like, we're looking at the magician at the back of this card, like, fucking being like, yes, and we want that. We want to manifest this, but we first have to, like, go through some bullshit.
Exactly.
Like always.
Like always. Life is going through bullshit and living past it.
Life is a series of bullshit, dude.
Like, if you guys haven't watched Bojack Horseman, watch Bojack Horseman.
I was literally thinking about that. I was literally gonna bring it up. Oh my fucking god! Sophia was about to say, want to see the telekinesis right now? Sophia was about to say, life is a series of closing doors, because Bojack Horseman says that in the fucking
Bro. And doesn't Diane say it's like life is shitty and then it moves on?
Yeah, no, you like fucking Bojack's like life's a bitch, and then like sometimes life's a bitch and then you keep on living.
And I think that's like
literally beautiful.
It's a beautiful
guys. Bojack Horseman, like literally, if you like Bojack Horseman, like fuck you. No, you don't. I like Bojack Horseman. Bojack Horseman is everything, dude. I will be watching that show until my fucking grave.
I literally can't even watch it. Like I've been wanting to rewatch it, but I know it would put me in such a bad headspace because of how relating it is to my own life that I just have to I have to just appreciate the memories I have of it right now.
Yeah. No, Bojack Horseman is literally like all my fucking jokes are just Bojack Horseman jokes if you really think about it. Stupid. So people who haven't seen Bojack Horseman, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just sorry.
I'm simping. I be simping. Also,
I'm sorry for you.
I'm sorry. Yeah. It's so funny, dude. I love Sophia's Taurus energy because she's literally the nicest person ever. Like cares about everyone so much, but also has like a spicy side to her, like the fucking horn.
If you cross me,
don't cross this
don't
bitch.
Cross the bull. That's what it means.
She'll switch up on you.
Yeah, that's all we have to talk about today.
And we want to probably do like a protection spell for the next episode, just for like everyone who watches the podcast. Only people who watch the podcast.
Exactly. We will like explain how we do it.
Yeah, and we'll probably show like a picture.
We can show the sigil.
Yeah, the sigil of it. Do you want to do it in the forest again, or?
Yeah. I'd be down. Down. I need it.
Yes.
If you guys are feeling like suffocated, I really recommend just like taking a walk in nature. It really just helps like conceptualize everything and like and just like bring you like just back down to earth. Yeah,
fucking become the tree that you see like across the street. Become a fucking ant that you see on the floor. It's great.
Yeah, I literally was just aimlessly walking around my town and I just like noticed like a really cool like thing drawn into the concrete. Probably when it was wet. It was like an actual like drawing. And then I looked over and then there was just a patch of mint, like naturally growing mint in my town, which is like completely unheard of. Like, and Eros is associated with mint, so like at that point like I really just like I was just like amazed and like I just felt like instantly like reassured about like the world. It's gonna be okay, guys. You just have to repeat that to yourself.
And like if you're okay. Like, wow, these girls like know nothing, like more life is not gonna be okay. We know. We like have we also be struggling, dude. We be struggling to fucking maintain that mindset too. It's
a struggle,
but it's a good struggle.
Because I think if you give up, you immediately set your chances to zero.
Yeah.
Even if you have 1% is better than 0%, right?
Yeah.
Like giving up you'll just lend yourself to failure, and I think that's the worst thing you can do.
That's the worst.
Like even if you just have 1%, just like keep living for that 1% because it will you will slowly like grow.
It's a cycle. All right. So bye everyone. Bye. We love you.
Have a nice week.